عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome everybody from around the world. My name is BILAL ABDUL KAREEM, and this is the BAK Show, where we're going to be discussing some things which are important to you and the Muslims at large. I am your host, BILAL ABDUL KAREEM. We got a lot of stuff to talk about here today. As people know, the war between Iran and Israel has come to a halt. U.S. President Donald Trump just last night announced that there's a halt to the hostilities. Up until now, while there have been some violations, it's largely been holding from both sides. Now, both sides are pretty interested in keeping this ceasefire. I wouldn't call it a ceasefire agreement because it doesn't appear as if there are any real details on the table right now for them to have agreed upon. But it's a ceasefire. Both sides have stopped. The Iranian side has basically said that we haven't agreed to anything, but we will stop the retaliation if they stop the aggression. The Israelis have also agreed to stop fighting, stop the hostilities. Now, both sides are taking losses. The Iranian side is getting pummeled by the Israelis. The reality of the situation is that the Israelis have much more firepower, greater intelligence, and they've also got Big Brother, which is the United States of America, backing them up. All right, then that's a problem for the Iranians because they don't have, for example, Russia or China that's overtly backing them up. Do I believe that Russia or China is supplying them with weapons and other political cover and such like that? Yes, but the Americans are on the front lines and they're saying, yo, that's our boy, you ain't touching them. And that's the way that it is. And that's why their bases got shelled. Now, in light of all that, why is there a picture of Qatar behind me? Well, I'll tell you. Qatar is the home. Well, first of all, it's a GCC country in the Gulf, the Arabian Gulf. It is one of the richest countries in the world. It is extremely rich in natural gas. That's their thing. And it's important. Now, why is that important? It's because of this. That's why we're going to talk about it today. Udeid military air base. Now, the significance of the Udeid military base is that it is the single largest military base in all of the Middle East for the Americans. This is an American base. It is an air base, and it's the largest in all of the Middle East. And it's right here in Qatar. It's about 65 kilometers away from the capital of Doha. Now, the Iranians shelled the Udeid military base just yesterday in a symbolic gesture. Now, why do I say symbolic? Well, the reality is that they called the Qataris and told them that they were going to be bombing this air base right here. It was a symbolic gesture so that they could try to save face and say that, well, we did respond to the American aggression who bombed our nuclear facilities, so we did respond to them. So we bombed Al Udeid Air Base. It was total theater, brothers and sisters. It wasn't real. It was fake. And I knew it was fake when we saw Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and Doha and other GCC countries closing their airspace to regular commercial traffic because they all got tipped off that the Iranians were going to be gunning for it. The reason for it is so that there would be no casualties, not giving the Americans an excuse to give them other retaliatory strikes. So that's why they contacted them ahead of time and told them, brothers and sisters, let me just let everybody know, that ain't how war is done. That's how theater is done. I don't know if some of you remember when I was growing up, there was a Saturday afternoon show that used to come on in New York City called Fist of Fury Theater. Now, the fights were so coordinated. One would throw the punch, the other would go like this. They had the sounds and the kung fu and everything. That's what that was, okay? But now, the question here is, what good is the Udeid military air base to the Muslims? The reality of the situation is that it's not of any real benefit to the Muslims. It might be of benefit to the ruling family in Qatar, because they might rely on the United States to protect them, because the Qataris share a gas field with the Iranians. But the reality of the situation is that I was in a pretty good mood because it got shelled. Now, why was I in a good mood behind that? Because of this, brothers and sisters. This Qatar, this is U.S. Central Command. All of the flights that take off from here to different countries, this is the origin right here. Now, this is Qatar right down here. And you've got Afghanistan over here. You've got Syria over there. This Udeid Air Base is the home to the drone strikes that took out so many of the Afghan fighters who were fighting for the establishment of Islam and to kick invaders out of their country. They were affectionately referred to by the U.S. as terrorists. So those flights took off right from here at the Udeid Air Base. Let's talk about Syria. They fought a 13-year, rebel fighters, 13-year war against the regime of Bashar al-Assad. Now, you got to take one thing into account. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say something here. I don't remember a single one of those killed by a drone strike, except that they were with an Islamic group. Now, I'm not saying that all of the groups have the best practice of Islam, but I am saying is that everyone that was droned, whether they had some mistakes or not, or what have you, were all of them were from an Islamic group here in Syria. And where did it take off from? Right here, U.S. Central Command in Qatar. So after it was bombed, and it was just symbolic, just messed up the runway, something that can be easily fixed. But to see that the Qataris allow the arch enemy of the Muslims, which are the Americans/Israelis, to commandeer a military base, not only commandeer a military base, but also use it to attack other Muslims. That's what the Udeid military air base is doing there, and that's why I was glad that it got shelled, because it has a rich history and the blood of many Islamic fighters in Syria. Some of them had their mistakes, no question about it, but not all of them. And what's interesting is that those fighters from Syria, which the U.S. doesn't particularly like, but they're not Islamic fighters, they sanction them. But the ones who are Islamic fighters, they drone them, and they all take off from here. Not all, but a good portion of them took off from here. Okay, brothers and sisters, before we go any further, we're going to take a look and see what's important to you. Any questions, comments, or concerns, but I need your help. Brothers and sisters, we are doing a project, a major project, which is called Voices of Truth. Brothers and sisters, we need you to help us. Take a look at our crowdfunding page. It's on medina.com/voices of truth. medina.com/voices of truth. This is a project wherein I am spearheading the filming of the stories of the people who were affected by the regime of Bashar al-Assad for years. I'm talking about family members who saw other family members disappear, never to return. Those who were in Assad's prisons and dungeons, those who survived torture and their situations now, even some of the people who actually meted out some of the oppression. But we need your help, brothers and sisters, in order to get all around the country, which is exactly what we're doing right now. We need gasoline, we need salaries, we need this, we need that, so many things. So I ask you, I implore you, if it's $10, $50, $100, please visit our crowdfunding page. That's medina.com/voices of truth. It's right there on your screen. Okay, everybody, let's go back. Let's take a look and let's see what we've got here. We've got Ham Tanks, who says, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, brother. Good to have you. All righty. Next item up for bids. We have here, Mr. Kurdi is on the house. He says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How do the scholars for dollars legitimize in Islamic rule the kufr occupy Arabic Peninsula, even with military bases? Well, if we go back to the Gulf War, we're talking about back in 1993, I think it is, in the early 90s, you would find that some of the scholars would justify it. Like, for example, Sheikh Abdulaziz ibn Baz, may Allah have mercy on him, was fed information that Saddam Hussein was about to attack Saudi Arabia. So he used this as a part of his fatwa that to get rid of a kafir, Saddam Hussein, it's permissible to use a kafir, meaning the United States of America. But the sheikh was blind. His intel was not accurate. And this was the fatwa that he made. And we ask Allah to forgive him and us for our mistakes. That was back in 1993. Now, and this is 2024, brothers and 2025, brothers and sisters, and it's a whole different ball game. It's Mohammed bin Salman's house now, and the reality, they don't even talk about it now. You've got that's in Saudi Arabia. In Qatar, the mashayikh who are there, nobody's talking about that. It's not even a topic. People are talking about wudu. They're talking about birr walidain, being kind to your parents, and removing harmful objects from the road and stuff like that. And these topics are important. These topics are important. These topics are important. But that's more important than anything else, to have the non-Muslims who are not only occupying your territory, but in addition to that, they are actively killing your Muslim brothers and sisters. And the Qatari royal family is aiding and abetting them by allowing them in their country. And that's real. So I hope that answers your question. People are not really even discussing that. And that's the sad part about it. Okay, let's see what we've got here. We've got Ibi, who's here, and he says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's take a look and see what we've got here. Okay, he says 1.2 trillion plus 400 million airplane as a gift for Trump USA from Qatar. Sickening, especially when we see what's happening to our little brothers and little sisters in Palestine. Look, let me give it to you straight, brother. Not everybody understands Islam the way it should be. Not everybody wants to understand Islam the way it should be. Some people think that Islam, you just make your salat, you go to Jummah khutbah, show up at the Eid, a prayer, and you're good. Well, that's kind of how I used to think when I was a Christian, and I used to just go to church on Sunday. I used to be there in the church. Maybe there was some other reasons I was there also. There was some pretty good-looking girls that used to go to the church at that time, and that was a draw for some of us. I'm just being honest with you. And all week long, you can just do your thing. I mean, I was doing nightclubs with alcohol and everything else, all the haram that was there. And then I'd go to church on Sunday because I didn't get the connection that your religion is supposed to be your way of life. Christianity, it just doesn't work like that. Okay. Here in Islam, a lot of people think when you come and you say, oh, listen, brother, there's a thing called al-wala wal-bara, about having avowment and disavowment to the Muslims and those who are non-Muslims, and they look at you and say, brother, what are you talking about, man? Why do you make the deen so difficult? It's easy. Just go make salat, man. You want to fast? Go ahead and do that. Who's telling you that you can't? That's all the religion is about for them. Teaming up with non-Muslims to kill Muslims, even if those Muslims sometimes have done things that they probably shouldn't be doing. You can't ally with the people who want to actively kill not only those people who have done things that they maybe shouldn't be doing, but they want anybody else who thinks that the Sharia is a good idea. And that's why you find that we have so many problems around the Muslim world, because it's just not taken seriously. That's the reality of the situation, and Allah knows best. Okay. We've got here Bilal Ali, who says, do you think Syria and Afghanistan will ever form an alliance, brother? I hope so, but the two are not on the same methodology. The Taliban are the controllers of the country of Afghanistan. They ran the Americans out. They took over. They are an Islamic country, and they're doing their best, walhamdulillah, to implement Islam. There are no riba-based bank accounts in Afghanistan. That's huge. They call upon the women to cover and to dress modestly and to wear the hijab. Those are not sentiments that we can say exist here in Syria. In addition to that, there's far too much interference from outside powers to say that the rebel forces, revolutionary forces, are in complete control over Syria, because they're not. In addition to that, there's still huge pockets of like, for example, the SDF. They control a full 1/3, approximately 1/4 of the country in the northeastern part of Syria. That hasn't been completely addressed. There's been an agreement in place between the government in Damascus and the SDF, Madloum Abdi, who is the leader, to be exact. But the movements on that are worrying. They don't seem to be going particularly in the direction of the implementation of that agreement. We're going to have to sit back and we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Would I like to see them form an alliance? I absolutely would, but I would like to see Syria become more Islamic. Then I think that it would be of use to the Taliban. Hopefully that's going to happen, and we make dua for our leaders that they will be the best of us and not the worst of us. Ameen. And we make dua that Ahmed Shara, formerly known as Abu Muhammad Jolani, will become one of the best of us. Now, okay, we've got here, Mr. Kurdi is back, and he says, Mr. Hakikat Jew said that Israel and people like Mohammed bin Salman encourage that Arab societies start to embrace their former gods, shirk traditions to destroy Islam as a danger against Zionism. Do you agree with? Let me read this again. Mr. Haqiqat Joe, he's a popular da'i, said that Israel and people like Mohammed bin Salman encourage that Arab societies start to embrace their former gods, meaning shirk, traditions to destroy Islam as danger against Zionism. Do you agree with? Okay, I'm not sure I completely understand what's being said here, but let me take the parts that I do get. Okay, that Israel and people like Mohammed bin Salman encourage the Arab society to start to embrace their former gods of shirk. I'm not sure that I can say that to embrace their former gods, but I can say that I believe that Mohammed bin Salman and of course Israel, they definitely want the Muslims to go back to shirk. And if you now, whether they're going to go back to Hubal or the former gods, back in the times of the Meccan, Abu Jahl and such like that. I don't know about all that. But what I can say is that I do definitely think that Mohammed bin Salman is very interested in bringing shirk back to the Arabian Peninsula. And my proof for that is when the Entertainment Authority let this one scantily clad lady in, what's her name, Iggy something or Izzy, something along those lines. And they had her performing in front of the Muslims in Riyadh. And while she's dancing and shaking herself, she had some lyrics to her song called Bow Down to a Goddess, Bow Down to a Goddess. Now, for me, as a former performer, I understand ad lib. Now, it's bad enough that she was even there. She shouldn't even been in the Arabian Peninsula, let alone be on stage in front of people. But she was there. So I said, look, let me give the Entertainment Authority the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she just got carried away with her lyrics and she just said some stuff and it just kind of happened. Well, I checked on the lyrics of the song in which she was singing, and those very same lyrics of Bow Down to a Goddess were there for the lyrics of her song. That means the Entertainment Authority knew what she was going to sing. They knew that there was shirk involved, and they did it anyway. I got no sympathy for them jokers. That's for real. The next part is to embrace their traditions, to destroy Islam as a danger against Zionism. Okay, this is the part I didn't really get, that maybe they want them to destroy, use their traditions as a danger against Zionism. I didn't quite get that. If you can just reword that, maybe we can take it before we go off offline. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. Okay, we've got Ibi, who says, what are your thoughts about 2 Baghdadi gang members who went into a church in Damascus and killed 25 and blew themselves up, brother? Brother, this is just lunacy. That's just nuts. It's crazy. That's not jihad. You've got people who are, Ahmed al-Shara, whether I like it or I don't like it, he's the leader. If he allows them to have their place of worship, Islamically, they're not allowed to advertise it outside, but they can have their places of worship in a Muslim in a Muslim society. And for people to just take it upon themselves to go into a church and start shooting people that have not done anything to you, I don't understand what that was all about in that context. I think that they were put up to it. They were, they had other agendas rather than just to kill non-Muslims, because if that was the case, we know ISIS very, very well here. They hate the revolutionary Muslim forces here in Syria much more than they hate the Christians. Why would they choose to attack a church rather than to attack revolutionary forces? Because they feel that they are the Muslims they are the wolves in sheep's clothing, masquerading as Muslims. That's the way that they think. So why would they choose a church? It's because they're trying to send a message. They're trying to destroy the society that's here. There's no other explanation that I could give for that, because I know their thinking, their ideology, and how they operate. And Allah knows best. All right. Okay. All right. We've got here Shamsha, who says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you tell us why it's not Sharia in Syria? What is stopping Jolani, Mr. Shara, to implement Sharia? I don't know, brother. I can't answer that question for you. I think that he is playing the role as the pragmatist, which I think is just totally wrong, because nobody was talking about pragmatism when these young brothers were running up on battlefields ill-equipped with Kalashnikovs, taking on tanks and planes and such like that. They were told that it was for the Sharia of Islam. And what we're seeing here today isn't that implementation that was advertised to the people, however you want to slice it, dice it, or put it, it was not advertised to the brothers who gave a lot. They gave, some of them gave they gave their wealth, they gave their health, and some of them gave their lives because they were advertised a certain thing. Up until now, we have not seen that thing, and we would like to see it, and that thing is called the Sharia of Islam. And I would say very clearly that if Ahmed Shara is watching and he's listening, or anybody that could carry a message to him and say, we as the people here in Syria, we're not against you, but I understand something. I understand that pragmatism is not going to work with the Americans. They're my people. I know them. I know how they think and I know how they act. Maybe you don't. They will never, ever let you become strong on the borders of Israel. No way, no how, not going to happen. Totally throw it out of your mind. But I don't want you to think that you can't survive without the Americans and the Brits and the West and such like that. The Taliban have done it, and they're thriving, doing big projects, doing trade with other countries in their own local currency. So I'm saying to you is that so many have tried the pragmatic approach. Abdul Fattah Sisi tried the pragmatic approach. Mohammed bin Salman, pragmatic approach. You've got the Nahyan family, pragmatic approach. You've got Tamim, the emir out there in Qatar, another pragmatic approach. Do you see any real strength about any of those names that I mentioned? None, because they're all just puppets. That's what pragmatism will get you. Allah will not give you the strength that you're looking for. But if you implement Sharia, even though it might look dark at some points and such like that, you would find not only that the people would be with you, but he would. Okay, we've got Molino here who says, I mean, Qatar did not really have a choice. It's give and get. That's how the US works. But really sad what the Muslims are doing right now. Give and get. I don't want what you got. You can keep it. That's the mentality that we as Muslims have to develop. I mean, just to say, okay, well, you know, we got to do business with the Americans. Who says? Taliban ain't doing business with the Americans. The other countries ain't doing business with the Americans. I'm not saying that I'm for this country, but the Russians are not doing business with the Americans. They're surviving and thriving. I mean, they're not doing the business, in other words, that, I mean, is there some trade going on between them and the Chinese? Yes, but America is not dominating Russian foreign or domestic policy, nor are they doing it for China. And they say, wait a minute, Russia and China, these are big, powerful countries. Okay, well, what about go back to Afghanistan? Afghanistan ain't no big-time country, but they are doing their own thing, and Allah is blessing them. I think we can learn some lessons from them. All righty. Let's see. Okay, we've got here, is it true that 1/3 of Tel Aviv is in rubble? And do you think America is trying to prove to power balance the region or make Israel the hegemon? Okay, first of all, I can't independently verify that 1/3 of Tel Aviv is destroyed. I heard the same thing. It's possible, but I can't independently verify that. So I don't want to say something that I don't have anything to back it up for. Yeah, that's the first thing. Is America trying to power balance? No, they're not trying to power balance the region. They're trying to take over the region. And they want regime change. That's what they want. That's what they're after. The Iranians tried very hard to placate the Americans. Do you remember that? And the Israelis. Let's go back to last year. Say a year and 3 or 4 months ago, the Israelis attacked the Syrian embassy. They attacked the Iranian embassy in Damascus. That is a big no-no because that's supposed to be a diplomatic mission, which is supposed to be inviolable, but they attacked it anyway. And the Iranians sent 300 projectiles. We're talking about drones and missiles to Israel. Didn't kill anybody, not a single soldier. And that was supposed to be their response. You know, they didn't want things to get out of hand, but it didn't work out. And then in the fall of last year, Ismail Haniya, may Allah have mercy on him, was killed in Tehran by a surgical strike on his hotel room. And he, along with several others, were killed. Now, the Iranians sent 180 this time projectiles towards Israel with a lot of bluster and going to blow them off the map and going to teach them a lesson and all that kind of stuff. And once again, no soldiers were killed. The only person that was killed was a Palestinian who one of the rockets was shot down and it landed on top of him. May Allah have mercy on him. Ameen. So it turned out that they couldn't hit the side of a barn when it came to shooting at the Israelis. But when it came to shooting at Sunni Muslims here in Syria, they just couldn't seem to miss. Now, here we are with where we are right now. Some people are saying, yeah, go get them, Iranians, and the Iranians are the heroes. Okay, the first thing here is that Iranians are not the heroes. They tried their best to placate the West and to and so on and so forth. But these are people who their janazah salat is different from ours. Their regular salat is different from ours. They call the people of our mothers, we're talking about Aisha radiallahu anha and the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all kinds of derogatory names. Their aqidah and minhaj, the way that they practice their Islam, is totally foreign to how Sunni Muslims practice their Islam. And they're fighting for survival right now because apparently whatever was promised to them by the Israelis and the Americans, it didn't work out. So I don't want to go overboard and start talking about how the Iranians are heroes. They fought and they fought courageously and they gave a real licking to the Israelis. Tel Aviv and the people out there, they're not accustomed to stuff like that. And so they smacked them around pretty good and they killed some high-level officials to go along with it. So that's where I see it, and Allah knows best, but the Americans are not trying to balance anything. They're trying to take over. All right, let's take one more. Okay. We have here, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Since Syria is very diverse with different ethnic groups, what form of justice system will the country practice on? Sharia, why not? Why not? Non-Muslims have lived in Sharia-dominated societies for hundreds of years, and there were no problems, there were no issues. That would be the justice system, and that's the best justice system. So yeah, that one is an easy one. All right, since that was an easy one, let's just take one more before we go. Okay. Okay, last one. Muhammad Ismail says, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. What is the reason behind countries like UAE, Qatar, Saudi, pushing Islamophobic rhetoric in the West? Because they want to show that they're all right. You see, you got to understand something, that you're talking to a brown fella, a black guy, an African American, and we know very well what it means to be an Uncle Tom. And Uncle Tom is somebody who is willing to bow down and to kiss the hands and the feet of white people, so that they can score points and such like that and everything. Now, some people might not like what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm going to give it to you straight. You ain't telling me that the Qatar'S gave 1.2 million plus a $400 million plane, and that the Emiratis gave 1.4 trillion. I'm sorry, 1.2 trillion, and the Emiratis gave 1.4 trillion in investments, and the Saudis $600 billion within 4 years of investments. Brothers and sisters, that is $3 trillion right there. And they did it at the time when the genocide was taking place in Gaza. So in effect, all the weapons and everything that they gave to the Israelis didn't really cost anything, because the Muslim countries of the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, they paid for it. Now you got to keep one thing in mind, that that the Saudis and the Emiratis are investing big time in through those 1.4 trillion and $600 billion investments in the defense sector in America. How can you justify that in front of Allah? That they're killing Muslims, and they've been killing Muslims for a long time, but they're doing it on an industrial scale now. And just when they the American president Donald Trump comes to town, they can't wait to get their wallets and checkbooks out. That's right, I said it, and I'm just being real with you. Some people out there are going to call me a hater or whatever the thing is. Them guys sold out big time on a historical scale, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. All right, y'all, that's as far as we can take it here today. Gonna have to ask you guys one last time, please visit our crowdfunding page, and that's medina.com/voices of truth. This is a video project in which I am heading. We are documenting the abuses that were taking place on the Syrian people during the reign of Bashar al-Assad. I'm talking about all kinds of stories, brothers and sisters. Today, we're just working on one story wherein the father had his two sons, 20 years old and 14 years old, arrested. When the 14-year-old back in 2012 was paraded on television as this big irhabi, this big terrorist, and he was 14 years old. We saw his identification card, his family book to verify his age. The next time that we come on air, inshallah, we'll show you an excerpt from it, and it's something that really moves your heart. And we have to bring these stories to you, brothers and sisters, because those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. So please visit our crowdfunding page. That's medina.com/voices of truth. I am your host, Bilal Abdul KAREEM. Jazakum Allah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.